Imagine spending half your marketing budget to bring people to your business,
Right.
only to just hand your sales team a script that practically guarantees the customer will walk away.
It's wild. It
Yeah.
really is a brutal paradox.
Yeah.
Because they are checking every single operational box, following all the corporate rules.
Right.
And in the process, they're systematically destroying their only real competitive advantage.
Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a fascinating dynamic today.
We really are.
Yeah, pulling from a guide called Beyond the Template, Owning Your Dealership's Local Marketing Strategy.
Mm.
And these sources reveal how local businesses, specifically, automotive dealerships, often surrender their entire local identity.
Right, to these generic manufacturer-approved vendor templates.
Exactly. So our mission for you, the listener, is to unpack the mechanics behind this trap.
Yeah.
We're going to explore the difference between merely looking busy with, compliant marketing and actually winning a local market.
It's a huge difference.
It is. And honestly, the insights we're about to uncover apply whether you are running a dealership, managing a local franchise, or if you're just fascinated by the hidden machinery of local business strategy.
Absolutely.
But real quick, this podcast is brought to you by DeskReadyLeads.com. Quick question. When a lead hits your CRM right now, does your BDC know why that person raised their hand? If the answer is no, that is not your team's fault. That is what your lead vendor delivered. DeskReadyLeads.com fixes that by finding motivated buyers with specific financial problems and delivering them as complete buyer profiles directly into your CRM. Not a name and a number, a briefed buyer your team already knows how to call. Visit DeskReadyLeads.com and see what that looks like in practice.
That's actually a perfect setup.
Right. Keeping that whole idea of a briefed buyer in mind, let's look at the complete opposite of that scenario.
Do it.
Let's look at the generic traffic generated by OEM vendors. And OEM meaning original equipment manufacturer, the factory, right?
Right, because, the factory wants to sell cars. And
Right.
So to do that, they authorize this list of preferred vendors to handle the marketing for their local dealerships.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a local general manager, these vendors, well, they look incredibly impressive when they walk through your door.
Oh, I can picture the pitch right now. They come in with the polished slide decks.
Yep.
The shiny preferred vendor badges, the certified programs. They know the brand standards,
Oh, inside and out.
The compliance rules, the reporting structure. It probably feels very, very safe.
It does. And that sense of safety, that's actually the bait.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really?
because the core issue here, and the source material is very blunt about this, is that most OEM vendors are built to satisfy the manufacturer first
Right.
and the local dealership second.
Okay, that makes sense.
The vendor's entire business model relies on maintaining their preferred status with the factory.
Yeah.
Not necessarily making the local store stand out.
Right.
And their biggest weapon to maintain that status is just scale. They are managing hundreds, sometimes thousands of stores simultaneously.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because relying on an OEM vendor to run your entire local strategy, it feels a bit like wearing a corporate uniform to a local talent show.
That's a great way to put it.
I mean, sure, you look perfectly appropriate, your tie is straight, you're technically dressed,
Right.
but you have absolutely zero chance of being remembered.
None.
Though, let me play devil's advocate for just a second here.
Okay.
We usually praise scale in business, right? Like, efficiencies of scale save time, they save money, they streamline operations. Are we saying scale is always a bad thing?
No, not at all. Scale is incredibly useful, but you really have to understand what it's actually doing.
Okay.
In this ecosystem, scale is a tool for compliance.
Mm.
It ensures the manufacturer's logo is like the exact correct shade of blue,
Right.
that the legal disclaimers are mathematically sound, and the website inventory feeds are syndicating properly.
Got it.
The problem is that scale is totally fatal for local differentiation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, a vendor managing a massive program across, say, 500 dealerships.
Mm.
They just cannot deeply understand your specific store's daily reality.
Because they aren't on the ground. They're looking at a dashboard in another state.
Precisely. What's fascinating here is that they do not know that your store is losing truck buyers right now because local payments are just too high.
Right.
They don't know that the independent lot down the street is stealing your Spanish-speaking buyers because they have a localized bilingual follow-up process.
Wow, yeah.
They don't know that your used car manager desperately needs clean, local SUVs way more than they need another generic new car campaign.
Right, because they just see the spreadsheets.
Exactly. They don't know any of this because they're running a program while you are running a dealership. Those are two vastly different things.
They really are. And if we look at this from the perspective of the local customer, the person sitting on their couch, scrolling through their phone after dinner, they are totally blind to the corporate machinery behind the ad. They just see an ad that sounds exactly like every other dealership ad they've ever seen. The vendor gets a checked box for brand compliance, but the dealership just gets ignored.
Yeah. Let's actually look at what that sameness looks like in practice. The sources give us a perfect example of this compliant, completely forgettable ad.
I'd love to hear it.
It usually sounds something like 2026 model year sales event, special APR, available on select models. See deal for details.
I mean, it is practically white noise. It just washes right over you.
It really does.
But the manufacturer probably loves it.
Oh, the factory adores it. It protects the brand. There are no wild claims, no rogue creative that might end up in a lawsuit.
Sure.
It's entirely brand safe. But as a local business, you aren't competing in a national brand meeting.
Right.
You're competing against the independent lot across town. You're competing against CarMax, against Facebook Marketplace.
Yep.
And frankly, you're competing against the customer's very real option to just keep their old car and do nothing.
Wow. I feel like there's a fundamental disconnect here in what is actually being marketed.
How so?
Well, the OEM vendor seems hyper-focused on marketing the physical inventory, right?
Yeah.
The metal, the factory rebates, the model year.
Right.
But the local buyer usually doesn't care that the factory's having a national sales event. So what does this all mean for the dealership trying to stand out?
You're hitting on the core tension of local advertising right there.
Yeah.
The vendor markets the product. The local dealership must market the problem the product solves.
Oh, that's good.
The fundamental shift needs to be from marketing inventory to marketing buyer motivation.
Let's break that down. Marketing buyer motivation. Because someone sitting at home with like a terrible credit score isn't reacting to a special APR ad.
No, not at all.
They're probably just terrified they'll get laughed out of a showroom.
That is exactly the psychology you have to tap into.
Yeah.
A real local strategy starts with specific, localized anxieties. Well, is the buyer stuck in a high-rate loan? Do they have equity in a lease that's coming due, and they just don't know what to do next?
Right.
Are they driving an older vehicle that suddenly needs a massive repair, and they are completely panicking about the cost?
Yeah.
When you start addressing those specific emotional and financial realities, you stop sounding like a factory template.
And you start sounding like a local advisor with an actual solution.
Exactly.
That makes logical sense, but it brings up a massive operational question for me.
Okay.
If these generic template ads are so ineffective and they just blend into the background, why do general managers keep approving them month after month, year after year?
It comes down to two very powerful words in the automotive industry.
Which are?
Co-op money.
Ah, the free money trap.
It is an incredibly powerful psychological hook. The manufacturer will often reimburse the dealership for a significant portion of their advertising costs.
Wow.
Sometimes half, sometimes even more.
Yeah.
But provided the ads meet all those strict brand compliance rules we just talked about.
I can see how that happens. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Approving a weak generic ad just because the manufacturer is paying for half of it.
Right.
It feels a bit like buying a terrible, incredibly uncomfortable piece of furniture just because you had a 50% off coupon.
That's exactly what it is.
I mean, it doesn't matter how much you saved at the register. It still clutters up your living room. You hate sitting on it. And it doesn't do the job you need it to do.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. The sources emphasize a golden rule here, which is discounted waste is still waste.
Discounted waste is still waste. I love that. But hang on, I've got to ask. Should a dealership ever walk away from reimbursable money? If I'm managing a tight margin, how do I justify leaving corporate money on the table?
Well, you don't necessarily leave it on the table. Co-op money should absolutely be used, but it must be used to support your local strategy, never to replace it.
Ah, okay.
If a campaign is producing weak, generic leads and failing to start real, localized sales conversations,
You're right.
the fact that you got a discount on it doesn't magically make it effective. It just means you paid slightly less to fail.
Oof. That's harsh, but true. The text mentions a litmus test for this, right? A specific question every GM needs to ask before they launch a campaign.
Yes, it's a great test. The ultimate question is, would we still run this campaign if co-op were not involved?
Wow, let's just sit with that for a second. Would we still run this if co-op were not involved?
Yeah.
I'm guessing if a lot of businesses ask themselves that, honestly, a huge chunk of their marketing budget would instantly vanish.
Oh, absolutely.
It just creates this false sense of security. The website has the right logos, the ads are running, the reports look highly professional with all their little charts and graphs.
Right, and the vendor is getting paid, the boxes are checked, but the store just stays stuck.
Yeah.
The leads coming in are low intent, and when the results inevitably fall flat, the blame game begins.
Oh, I'm sure.
The sales managers blame the marketing for generating garbage leads, the marketing agency blames the sales team for not closing them, and the vendor, well, they just blame the local market conditions.
Of course they do. But realizing your marketing is generic is really only half the problem, isn't it?
Right.
The real disaster happens when those low-intent clicks actually arrive at the dealership.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the operational reality of the sales floor. Because the illusion is that marketing starts the moment the customer clicks the ad.
It's actually the exact opposite. The click is just the introduction. The real battle is won or lost in the CRM and the BDC.
Okay, before we go further, let's unpack those terms for anyone outside the automotive bubble.
Sure.
When we talk about the CRM customer relationship management software, we aren't just talking about a digital Rolodex.
No.
We are talking about the central nervous system of the sales floor. It tracks every call, every email, every customer interaction.
Correct. And the BDC is the Business Development Center.
Yeah.
These are the folks pounding the phones, responding to internet leads, and really trying to set appointments for the showroom.
Okay.
This handoff from the vendor's ad to the BDC's phone call, this is where OEM vendor templates almost always collapse.
Walk me through the mechanics of that collapse. Like, how does an ad checking the brand boxes actually hurt the person making the phone call?
Think about the psychology of the salesperson.
Okay.
The vendor generates traffic through generic template. That lead hits the CRM. But because the ad was generic, the data attached to the lead is totally hollow. The guide contrasts this beautifully. It shows what a typical vendor-style lead looks like. It literally just says, customer interested in vehicle.
Customer interest in vehicle, which gives the salesperson absolutely nothing to work with.
Nothing.
If I'm the BDC rep staring at that screen, I have no idea if this person is looking for a minivan because they just had twins, or if they want a sports car for a midlife crisis.
Exactly.
I have to start the call completely blind. It turns me into a telemarketer.
And nobody likes talking to a telemarketer.
Yeah, definitely not.
Now, contrast that generic data with a lead generated from a true local strategy.
Duh.
The lead hits the CRM and says, customer responded to a payment relief campaign. Open the call by asking whether a lower monthly payment, a trade-in evaluation, or a vehicle change is their main priority today.
Wait, hold on. I need to stop you there. Customer responded to a payment relief campaign. Open the call by asking.
Yeah.
That completely flips the traditional dynamic. You are saying the marketing campaign is actually scripting the first 30 seconds of the sales call before the phone even rings.
That is exactly the paradigm shift the sources are driving at.
Yeah.
If we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
marketing is not just lead generation. True local marketing is sales conversation design.
Sales conversation design.
Yes, you are setting the psychological stage for your team to succeed.
That is wild. I always viewed marketing and sales as a relay race.
Right, like passing the baton.
Yeah, marketing runs their lap, hands the baton to sales, and then goes to sit on the bench. But
Yeah.
you're saying it's a completely integrated system.
It has to be.
Though, wait, isn't it the sales manager's job to train the team on how to handle different customers, regardless of what the marketing vendor does? I mean, shouldn't they be ready for anything?
It is a partnership, certainly.
Yeah.
But consider the operational reality on the floor. You cannot run campaigns that your team isn't trained to handle.
Right.
Let's look at the friction points. If your marketing vendor is running a massive Spanish language campaign to capture a growing demographic in your area,
Okay.
but your BDC only has English-speaking reps following up.
Oh, wow. Then you aren't just wasting money, you are actively frustrating the buyer.
Exactly.
You promised them an experience in their native language and pulled a bait and switch the moment they raised their hand.
It destroys trust instantly.
I can imagine.
Or consider a more subtle mismatch. Suppose your vendor launches a We Buy Cars campaign.
Okay.
The BDC calls the lead, but because they lack context, they use their exact same generic script for someone looking to buy a new car. Yeah, they start asking about down payments and preferred colors to someone who just wants to sell their old Honda.
The customer immediately realizes they are talking to a machine, not an advisor.
Treating seller leads like buyer leads means the strategy is fundamentally broken at the operational level.
Right.
The vendor in another state might not know any of this friction is happening. They just see that a lead was generated.
Sure, the spreadsheet looks fine.
But the local dealership has to live with the fallout of that broken conversation. Marketing has to bridge the gap between the click and the conversation.
We've been talking a lot about selling cars, the front of the house.
Yeah.
But if this template problem is this pervasive, I'm guessing it bleeds into the rest of the building too. The sources point out a massive blind spot that OEM vendors have regarding the dealership's true profit center.
You're referring to fixed ops, service and parts.
Yes. For the uninitiated, fixed ops refers to the departments that cover the fixed operational costs of the dealership. It's the bays where cars get fixed, the parts counter. It's historically where a dealership actually makes its real money, while the shiny cars out front just break even.
It is a hidden gold mine. And OEM vendors are notoriously bad at marketing it.
Why is that?
They are so laser-focused on national offers and pushing new vehicle inventory that they completely miss the massive opportunities happening right in the service lane.
It's like a restaurant spending its entire advertising budget on billboards trying to draw in brand new diners.
Yeah.
While completely ignoring the massive line of loyal customers standing at the takeout window who already love the food.
That's a perfect analogy.
It makes you wonder what gold mines you might be ignoring in your own business just because the corporate office doesn't have a pre-approved template for it.
It is a staggering missed opportunity.
Yeah.
The sources emphasize that the best marketing ideas do not come from a factory boardroom.
Where do they come from?
They come from the actual conversational data happening inside the dealership every single day.
Yeah.
The service drive is just packed with data.
Give me a specific mechanism for that. How does a GM turn a service drive interaction into a marketing strategy?
Okay, let's walk through a scenario from the text. Imagine your service advisors are noticing a trend.
Okay.
Your service drive is full of customers who are declining $2,500 repair orders.
Yeah.
Why? Because their car is 5 years old and putting $3,000 into it just doesn't make financial sense anymore.
They are frustrated, their car is broken, and they are facing a massive bill.
Exactly. Now, a generic vendor, thousands of miles away, doesn't see that frustration. They just keep running the 2026 model year ad.
Right, the template.
But a local GM sees that trend in the service drive and immediately pivots. They trigger a highly targeted repair bill trade-in campaign.
Okay, that is brilliant. You're catching them right at the exact moment their motivation to change vehicles is at its absolute highest.
Yes.
They don't want a new car. They want out of a massive repair bill.
Exactly. You are marketing to the problem, not the product.
Why?
Or consider the parts department. If parts revenue is lagging, you don't wait for the factory to send a flyer. You dictate an OEM parts and truck accessories campaign. The strategy is driven by the store's actual immediate financial problems.
Okay, if I'm a GM listening to this and I'm realizing my entire strategy is just a compliant template, I'm probably getting pretty fired up.
Understandably so.
My first instinct would be to march into the dealership tomorrow morning, burn the corporate playbook, and just fire every single vendor I have.
Which is the exact opposite of what the sources recommend.
Wait, really? Even after all this?
You do not need to fire your OEM vendors. The solution is putting them in the right lane.
Explain the right lane.
OEM vendors have distinct, highly valuable strengths. They are excellent at ensuring brand compliance.
Okay.
They manage website inventory feeds seamlessly. They navigate the incredibly complex rules of co-op reimbursement. And they handle the tedious reporting requirements that the factory demands. You want them doing that heavy lifting.
So they are the mechanics of the marketing, but not the architects.
That is a great way to put it. The GM must fiercely protect the local voice.
Right.
The vendors should never own the local message. They should not own your BDC scripts. They should not own your Spanish language process. They should not dictate your trade acquisition strategy.
So the GM really has to start interrogating the process. They need to ask the hard questions to their vendor, like, how are you helping our sales team follow up?
Yeah.
What specific CRM context will this lead include? How are you measuring the quality of this campaign beyond just clicks and impressions?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But there is a very real pushback to this inside the industry.
I can guess what it is. Time.
Yep.
A general manager at a busy dealership is pulling 100 different levers a day. They are managing personnel disputes, inventory floor plans, customer escalations.
They're swamped.
They physically do not have the time to sit down at a laptop and write the copy for every single Facebook ad or record every radio spot.
Which raises an important question and a vital distinction the text makes. The GM does not have to write the ad, but they absolutely must dictate the strategy.
So it's about direction, not execution.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The GM has to look at the inventory pressure on the lot. They have to listen to the specific objections happening on the sales floor.
Right.
They have to understand why people are actually buying or walking away that week. And then they go to the vendor and say, this month, our biggest problem is high payment customers. Build me a payment relief strategy. The vendor executes the creative, they make it compliant, they launch it, but the store owns the brain.
The store owns the brain. I love that. It all comes back to that illusion of strategy we talked about at the beginning.
It really does.
Because if you outsource your strategy to a template provider, you are willingly giving away the only real competitive advantage you have left.
Exactly.
Which is your deep, intimate, local understanding of your customers' actual, messy, real-world problems. Whether you are selling cars, running a local plumbing franchise, or navigating any modern business landscape, the moment you sound like everyone else, you become invisible.
It is the ultimate trap of convenience. And it leaves us with a final thought to really mull over.
Let's hear it.
Think about your own operation right now. If your business's entire marketing strategy can be perfectly copy-pasted by your fiercest competitor across town,
Yeah.
without changing a single word except the logo at the top, are you actually running a strategy? Or are you just running a survival reflex?
Wow. That is a question that should keep every business owner awake at night. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take a hard look at your own operations this week. Find where the templates are hiding in plain sight and start taking back the steering wheel. We will catch you on the next one.